Good morning, guys. So welcome back to my channel. Today we will do a little bit of a different thing. So we've been working really hard on the canter lately, so I decided today that we'll just change it up and start adding some pole work to help with Hazel developing the muscles of her upper back, and that will help her to just get a better elevation when we are cantering. So instead of just pushing her always in the canter, I'm just gonna work a little bit more on muscle building today, and then we'll do a nice little spring grooming because it is shedding season after all. So one of the first things I do when I come to the barn, either if my horse is inside or outside, I just make sure that I remove the blankets. So she had a rain sheet before on top of that one, and it was getting pretty drenched. It is definitely a wet season and her blanket was no longer waterproof. So I also remove all the blankets and give her a little time to do her little business. Hazel does not pee outside. So it's really important that I remember to just make sure she does do what she has to do before we want to do any exercise. So that's what I do. I just bring her in, remove the blankets, remove clean her hoofs, and then we're ready to actually start anything else after she's done her little business. So because it is spring and there's a lot of showers, there's lots of rain happening, it may affect the horse's hoofs and making them either brittle, dried, cracked up, and things like that. So it's really important to just make sure that the hoof is intact, that it's in good condition. In our case, I noticed that it was pretty dry. Her hoofs are pretty dry. So what I'm applying here is just like a little oil that will help just moisturize the hoofs and keep them healthy, and it also repels the water as well, just for like a short amount of time, which kind of helps sometimes when there's actually lots of rain, lots of mud. So really important, you clean the underneath, then I just brush the outside just to make sure there's not a lot of dirt, and then I will apply the oil, and it takes a few minutes to dry, like about 15 to 20 minutes to just settle in to the hoof. So usually I like to do it first, so like that we can be ready to do anything else we want to do. So once the hoof oil is applied, I am actually just going with the brushing. It is shedding season, so you'll see there's a little bit of hair that's gonna come off, and you'll see also the white patches are just like dry skin, mud, and all the dandruff and things like that. Unfortunately, because it is the early spring, I cannot give her a shower. Our shower is outdoors and only has cold water. So we'll have to wait a little bit for that, but it's always good to remove as much hair as possible, especially at this time of year. I think this year is definitely the worst shedding season that we've had, or that I've had with Hazel. That means she grew a lot of fur this year as compared to the other years. So it's a good sign because that means she's healthy, she's growing her fur. But it is definitely a chore and a half to just remove all that old coat, and as you can see, she's shedding quite a lot. So there's different ways that you can brush your horse in order to remove the dead hair or the shedding. In this case here, I have a rubber brush, and it's called a strip hair brush. It is very, very gentle on the horse, and that's why I use this one. You can use also shedding blades, which is usually a piece of metal with, a piece of wood with a line of metal, kind of little tooth, or corrugated metal, and it just helps shedding the coat. I've tried one on Hazel before, and I wasn't really successful at getting any hair off with it. I guess it's better for denser coats. In our case, it really doesn't work at all. I've seen other tricks with the sweat scraper, which is the tool that we use to remove the water when we're done baiting our horse. It's a bit like a squeegee but for horses. I've seen some people successful with that in removing the hair. You can also clip them. Some people like to shave them. In our case, like, she grows a lot of fur, like it's dense but it's very short, so it's not enough to be shaved or anything like that. She would be really, really cold if we did. So if you pay attention to her neck section, you'll notice that it's very shiny, and that's just a sign that the new coat is in. Sometimes it just doesn't grow evenly. Obviously, the horse is pretty massive and the hair just has to regrow everywhere. But I'm confident this year we must have, I think we're gonna have a super shiny coat, and I'm super excited to see it. So once I'm done brushing the horse on both sides, or curing the horse on both sides, I'm gonna use a coat moisturizer. In this case, I'm using the Equestrian Rehydrant conditioner, and it really helps to moisturize the skin. So it is the Rehydrant product with water that I just put in a spray bottle. And I've used this product all winter long to use it over under the saddle area when I'm done my ride, and any sweat marks that I see, I usually use that product. And as you can see, it maintained her coat beautifully. I also used it on the dock of her tail, so the upper part of her tail, to just moisturize the hair follicles and basically the scalp, and it really helped as well, so she's not rubbing her tail anywhere, she doesn't have any discomfort, it is moisturized. So I really, really like that product. I use it for literally everything, so it's a really good product to have, and it doesn't take much. I think I put just maybe 2 tablespoons of the Rehydrant product, and then the rest is just water, so a little goes a long way. So because I'm using a moisturizer, I'm using also a currycomb that has longer bristles in order to really reach the skin and give it a deep massage and let the product do its work. And once that is over, I'm going to use here the Shine product from Equestrian, and it really just brings out the shine. I find it also helps the first layer of the coat to just kind of loosen the dead hair, so that's just for like a longer term, hopefully to help the shedding to kind of get done a little sooner. And also it really helps to just give a nice shine finish on the horse, even though she's really dirty and I can't wait to give her a shower. So that's also a great product. So the Shine Perfect by Equestrian. So to apply the Shine product, I'm using here a magic brush. It has a little bit of a denser bristles. It's still a curry comb, but it has denser bristles, so it helps to really grab the hair that is left over from all this rubbing action that I've been doing. And then I'm gonna move to just regular brushes. So this is a coarse bristle brush, and just to get rid of all the rest of the dandruff flakes. So all the curing brings up all the the dandruff, and so this really helps to kind of flick it off the coat. So I'm doing like a full complete grooming here with that, but as you can see here, the shine product really comes through. You can start seeing a little bit more shine. So the secret to shine is 3 things: nutrition, and then good products, and elbow grease. I won't lie, there's a lot of elbow grease that you need to get that done, to get a shiny horse. So that's really important, to just make sure you spend some time with your horse to kind of really take care of the skin, because it is the biggest organ of the body, and you really have to make sure that this is properly taken care of, so you don't have a horse that just like has rubbing marks or is just very uncomfortable. So moving along here, we were lucky enough to have some ground poles already present here. Somebody before us had like a jumping lesson, and so she had little ground poles left. So I thought that would be a good idea to just kind of work on that and help her build that top line a little bit better. The top line has been a struggle from the start for us. Obviously she has a little bit of a conformation issue, but it's been coming on so nicely since we've been starting this whole dressage journey. It really helped muscle up her loins, or like the back end of her back basically. It's getting really nice, but I'm feeling the area right under the saddle is still missing some work. I would like to see more muscle mass there. And what people have recommended, like my chiropractor and my PEMF technician, really recommended that I do some pull work to help just kind of build that area a little bit more. But other than that, she's built pretty good. So I don't think you guys would realize that much, but there are actually 2 ground poles just right one next to the other, like just glued together a little bit. So she has to just take a little bit of a longer step to get over it, and that kind of forces her to really move a little bit forward and lift her leg a little bit more, and all of that action, that shoulder action, really helps to kind of build the back muscle as well. So we're just gonna go over it a couple times. These ones are very short poles, they're not as long as the one we use normally, so it also works on the straightness of the horse. You just have to really make sure that she is dead center on it, because it's not very wide, and so if you don't go right in the center, you're gonna miss it. So with poles, there are 2 ways the horse can react. Either it can just go over it like with the same pace, or take it as a jump and then jump over, and usually they canter afterwards. So the last try here, Hazel just went on in a canter, and since she did landed in a canter and it was proper, it was the right lead, I just decided to take that opportunity and just work her canter and her canter straightness especially. So usually she does really fine, or she's really balanced in a circle, but as soon as you take her off the circle and you start doing an oval, or you start going along the long sides, then I noticed that there's some straightness issues at the canter. So I just decided to work a little bit of that a little bit more in detail here. So that's why you'll see me try to work a little bit more on the long side here on the canter. So Hazel's attitude that day was pretty fresh, just a little bit on the fresh side. Not the worst that I've seen with her, but I can feel that she was anticipating a lot. That usually happens when she's a little bit more fresh, a little bit more alert. Once we pick up a canter, she gets really excited and she keeps on thinking we're gonna canter forever. So that was her attitude that day. And now I'm just gonna get off and move on the pole a little bit to separate them so we can work something different. So as you can see here, the second pole, I'm just making sure there's enough space to do the trotting poles. So with this setup, we'll work on two things. Well, first we'll work on making sure that she hits the poles right in the middle. So once again, just make sure that it's really straight and right in the middle. And then the second thing is the pace as well. So we're just gonna try to modulate that trot a little bit to see if we can get her to go over the poles without hitting them. I don't know, this one wasn't the best practice we've had. Obviously it's the first one we really do on like pole work and stuff, but she's touched the poles quite a lot during that session. So it was just to kind of figure out how I can balance her and make sure that we get the right stride at the right place. As I often say, what you do on one side, you have to do on the other. So we're just changing lead here. We're gonna go across the same poles on the other side, and that will really help just working her and making sure that her muscling and everything is balanced. As you can see on this hand or on this side, she's having a little bit more of a straightness issue. So I can get her to bend a little bit more, but she is moving off like a little bit too much. So we don't hit the poles dead center. So I have to work on the accuracy of that, making sure that she's supple and that she's willing as well to just go into the center and get over them poles. So as you can see, sometimes she does hit the poles and they do move forward a little bit. I'm not too bothered unless they're like getting really close. I usually let it be. She's just gonna have to adjust herself the next time we go over them, just because there's less space in between the poles. So it's a little bit more of a challenging thing, and that's why I like to just challenge her with it. If she moved it, she moved it. It's a little hard when you're like just one rider to just kind of set up your poles, do your work, and then if they move, then you have to get up and down and up and down. So I usually just let it be for as long as I can, and when I see they're too close, then I'm just gonna go around instead and start doing something different. So this is a good example of Hazel just doing a nice regular trotting pole, but you'll see the next time around when she goes over the pole, she'll take it more as a jump, and she'll jump over both poles and then pick up a canter. So sometimes it does happen, it's not a big deal. In this case, she didn't have the proper lead for me to carry forward and just keep on going with the canter. But you'll see there's different reactions that the horse can have for as long as they bring you to the other side of the poles, really. I'm not too worried at this point. Eventually, my goal is to add a couple more poles, and eventually the horse is not going to want to jump when you go over pole. The more poles there are, the less there are the chances that the horse will want to jump every single one of them. It's just gonna see it more as like a pathway with obstacles, and that will be our goal. So I think the next time I'm gonna actually work on ground poles, I'll probably put 4 to 5, just because she is doing it pretty good. Like, she's going pretty smoothly over them. I just think we really need to work those back muscles a little bit more, and doing it with just 2 poles, you kind of have to go over it like a lot more times, like instead of having like 4 of them or 6 of them out on the ground, and she's going up, and it's just easier for her to kind of work that out. So we tried to do like a full, like smaller circle here instead of going right all the way to the sides. I've been not as successful as I thought, but we had a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that you guys learned something new about setting up ground poles and what it can do for your horse. I will probably be doing way more ground poles in our flat work practices, just because, as I said, it works the back muscle a lot more, and it also helps to get them balance on their haunches. So I'm really excited to see, after maybe a month or 2 of doing this, what it's going to bring to us, and how it's going to help her build her core and her top line muscles.